Hello again, everyone. This is B. Harper from supermarcy.com, and I come to you with a completely redundant movie review. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It is what a truly wonderful sequel is. It remains true to the original film and the ideas and the characters and remains respectful to it, but it also expands on and further just broadens the franchise with what it has. It's bigger, it's better, and oh my god, it is so compulsively watchable. Even though in my Terminator review I did say that comparing the first two films are like apples and oranges, I will find myself watching Terminator 2 Judgment Day more than the first Terminator film. And that's not a slight against the first one, not at all. But if I had to while away a bored Sunday on a bored rainy Sunday or whatever, Terminator 2 Judgment Day would pretty much be one of my top choices. Whoa! You want action? You want stunts? You want pyrotechnics? You want every single trick in the action movie book? Terminator 2 Judgment Day has that. Every ounce of it. Back in 1991, when James Cameron made this movie, here's the thing. Before he made Terminator 2, he didn't actually intend on making a sequel to the original film. That's why he left it open-ended intentionally at the end of the first movie. And he didn't necessarily have any plans to expand it. But when studios, in their occasional bounce of genius and in their wisdom, approached him to say, hey, can you make a second one? Cameron said, sure, but you have to let me have creative control. And what do you know? He got that. And everything about this film just screams quality. Every single ounce of technology, every single ounce of talent and ingenuity and passion was called upon to make this movie. And you know what? Even if you listen to what the decriers of this movie say in saying, it's the plot is contrived and the characters aren't interesting. Excuse me? The characters aren't interesting? Let me clarify this for you, champ. The Terminator in this film is a human. Not necessarily in the technical sense, but what this film is about is how the human spirit can be surpassed beyond the body. It is something that is transcendental. And in this case, the Arnie bot in this movie, he starts off as an unthinking, unflinching killing machine, but under the tutelage of a young John Connor, who himself is starting to learn the gravity of his role in the world and responsibilities, the Terminator learns that the value of human nature. It understands the purpose of emotions and impulse and everything like that. And in a sense, Terminator 2 Judgment Day flips the convention on the head. So you have the Terminator learning human interactions and really coming to terms with how humans work. And then you have Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor in this movie is not the Sarah Connor from the first film, and that was an intentional decision made on the part by Linda Hamilton. When Cameron came to her to return to her role as Sarah, Linda was fine with that, but she said specifically she wanted Sarah to end up in a mental institution. With everything she has learned from Kyle Reese and her own mental processes of what is to come, she would not be the young woman she was in the first movie. She has become, wise beyond her years. She knows that Judgment Day is coming, if, on the current trajectory. She even says so in her interview tape with Dr. Silberman, played by Earl Bowen, that she's having these constant recurring prophetic dreams of Judgment Day. And you can't exactly call them dreams either, because this is gonna happen. And Sarah is just a completely different character in this film. And while she starts out as a paranoid and schizophrenic, really troubled woman, she isn't foolish. She's still very much a human being, but her passions are everywhere. And halfway throughout the film, she starts to become a Terminator herself. When she finds out that Miles Bennett Dyson is the creator of Skynet, and he's living she decides to take it upon herself to change the future. And in doing so, she has to wipe away her humanity. So when she is storming the Dyson house, she has a look of coldness on her face. When she aims that gun, you know, she isn't thinking about Miles Dyson as a human being. She isn't even considering that he is a thinking, feeling person. And it's not until she sees his family like cowering over him, protecting him, and pleading with her not to kill him, you know, that's when that artifice slips away. And that's when Sarah Connor realizes that she has become no better than the creation that Bennett Dyson is unknowingly making. And she has had to psych herself up for this moment, you know, she wants to kill him, she thinks she wants to kill him, and she tells his family to like get away from him, and you know, she has to do it. But when she sees the love that his family is putting in front of her, she realizes that she can't do it, and she collapses into a sobbing mess, and she can't believe that she has become a machine. She has become something that she hates. And, forgive my hopshot type of reviewing here, but it would be pointless of me to just review the film as a technical standpoint. T2 is more than that, and you know this. And it all just comes back to the human characters. Sure, you can have every single visual effect at the time in the book here, and, you know, it still looks amazing, don't get me wrong, but Sarah Connor, John Connor, and the T-101, they are the centre of this movie. If you can feel something for the Terminator, the Arnie bot, I should say, if you could feel this journey, and if you can see it, if you can see that this creation evolve, that is when you know the movie has succeeded. I also got to give huge props to Robert Patrick as the T-1000. I have made no secret that the T-1000 is one of my favourite villains. In the villain podcast that I did with Nick and Bede, I wax philosophical about the brilliance of T-1000, and I'm not going to do it here, don't worry, but he is, without a doubt, like, when you, aside from the Arnie bot in the first movie, the T-1000 is terrifying, because he has been given the opportunity to learn about human interactions. He is an advanced model compared to the Arnie bot. He knows what pain is. He knows what pain does to a human being. And he knows how to psychologically manipulate his targets. In the finale, like when he's torturing Sarah Connor, like with his blade finger through her shoulder, he says, "I know this hurts." And you know what? It's a fantastic film. And these little touches that the actors make, specifically with Robert Patrick himself, that is what makes a film truly pop. Now, to the fun stuff. Holy shit. The stunts. Oh my god. The stunts in this movie, CGI was becoming a huge thing. The technology was starting to be understood by filmmakers and whatnot. But T2 does not skimp on the practical stuff. What you are seeing about, say, 80% of the time, that is real. That is happening in camera on set. You have, you know, live action stuff, you have miniatures, animatronics, model work. It is amazing what people can do if they have the willpower to do it. They have the willpower and the talent, I should say. James Cameron had himself a wonderful crew to work with, and they are able to create these realities and draw you in, and it's just, a film like this can't be replicated, and that's why I feel Cameron made it to be like this. That is why he pulled all stops out to make this film, because he knew that nobody else would have been able to make this type of movie with these type of resources, with these types of actors ever again, and that's why he took this opportunity to do it. And may I say, Sarah Connor's nuclear nightmare, it gave me nightmares. It still does give me nightmares because of not just the visual effects, which are absolutely horrifying, but it's the fact that when James Cameron made this movie, and when the folks who actually make nuclear weapons in the Department of Defense or whatever, when they saw that sequence, they wrote to Cameron saying, "Thank you for giving us an accurate representation of a nuclear weapon going off." If that is what happens in a nuclear blast, I would rather shoot myself first. Oh my god. And what that entire sequence stands for is, what would happen if we were so ignorant towards each other? If we did not have an open vestige of communication and understood that there are bigger things at stake rather than what's going on in our little personal bubbles. All the film is about that, but I think it really comes into true horrifying and graphic play in that nuclear nightmare. And it really is one for the books. And may I also add on here, Edward Furlong has copped a lot of flack for his performance as John Connor, being too whiny, too arrogant, and too this and that. Well, here's the thing. He was a prepubescent teenager in this movie. The character, I mean. I'm not referring to Edward Furlong himself. Were you ever a perfect angel when you were that age? When you are about 11 or 12, you're not thinking about the grand scheme of things. You're not wondering about the boundless mysteries of the universe. You are not pondering what you'll be doing in the next 20 years. You are living for the here and now. Your mind and your body is going through so many substantial changes. And the last thing you're going to be worried about is, you know, how to be a saintly individual. So to me, John Connor goes through a huge arc in this film. Yes, he starts out as a little shit, but every kid that age is a little shit. One way or another, you were a rebel. You said to your parents, "Oh, go fuck yourselves. You don't know who me. You don't know how I think. I know everything. No." Don't deny that you didn't do such a thing. And when John starts to interact with the Terminator and build this relationship with his mother, that is when he starts to mature emotionally. But he doesn't do it at an exponential rate. This is something that is in development. And even towards the end of the film, he still has a lot to learn about life and about himself. But this was a crucial step into what his fate would become. And speaking of fate, that's something else that comes from the first movie. It is making your own destiny. Going out there and making a name for yourself, not following a prescribed path that you believe yourself on. You gotta fight for your right to be here. And when you fight, that is when you are alive. When you meet the people you love, when you forge those connections, when you make those accomplishments, that is what life is. And that is something you need to live for. And that is something that T2 just keeps on saying, but it's not done in an obnoxious manner. I feel with the action, with the more bombastic elements, that is what makes this message so much easier to swallow. I could wax on lyrical about this film. I could just keep on going on, but at the end of the day, there is this. We can retain our humanity, or we could become unthinking, unfeeling robots. It's all up to us. So on that note, that was my thoughts on Terminator 2 Judgment Day. 5 out of 5. What else can be said? Nothing! Thanks guys, and once again, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.